Alright everyone, the Thomas Wooden Railway discussions continue. Today we're going to do an in-depth review on Mike, the Arlesdale engine. Mike was sold from 1998 to 2005, and I'll explain in a second why I find that really impressive for a number of reasons. If you know your Thomas and Friends history, you know that Mike never appeared in the TV series, along with the other small railway engines, Rex, Bert, Frank, and Jock. Mike is an interesting character. I find him fascinating in a lot of ways, especially in my series, simply because, I don't have a small railway. I don't want to build a completely separate layout for Mike and Frank, although that would be cool, but, it's not very efficient, and I'd rather save my track, for a bigger narrow gauge layout, for example. So in my series, Mike and Frank are just standard gauge engines, and I just leave it at that. I always get people when they appear in an episode. I always get people who say they're small railway engines. They're all this stuff. You're doing it wrong. And I'm like, well, I know I'm doing it wrong, but I'd rather have them appear in episodes than not appear at all. So that's just that's how I go by it. But a little bit of history on Mike in the railway series. He works on the small railway. At the time, it was only him, Rex, and Bert, and then later Jock was added and Frank the Diesel was added. It's really interesting, kind of like James. His paint represents his characteristics. James is always has a quick temper. Mike has a quick temper, and in fact he actually lost his whistle in one of the railway series stories by trying to shoe a cow, and the whistle literally just took off like a rocket. And that was pretty much the end of it. Like, literally, that was the end of it. They weren't able to get the whistle back, and so Mike just kind of had to go on without his whistle that day. And he actually didn't have a really big. In the railway series, he appears in a lot of the stories, but he actually doesn't speak a lot. So he comes by as a quiet character, but he's actually, I think he has a pretty fierce temper. So let's take a look at Mike a little bit more. And just kind of see, what's the big deal with Mike? I know a lot of people like Mike. They always ask for him to appear in a lot more of the stories that I do. Since Mike's so long, I'll split him up into two. This is the first part of Mike, the engine itself. Not a whole lot of detail. That's one of the things. I'll get to that in a sec. On my Mike, the eyebrows have worn off a lot, and it kind of looks like he's about to cry on my model. I don't know why. It just that looks like he's about to cry. It looks like his eyes are watering up. It's just because my eyebrows have worn off, years of wear and tear and play. But don't worry, Mike is actually smiling it, and so don't worry about that. Something really cool here is this color. It may look purple, kind of depends on how the upload turns out. It looks purple right now to me, but when you look away from the camera, it's definitely a blue. And that blue is really nice. I wish there was more of it. However, it would be really nice if Mike's he just had stripes everywhere, the blue stripes. That'd be really cool. To the back here, really interesting widow's peak. Doesn't really stick out that much. And then symmetrical on the same side. This is supposed to represent his whistle right here. Not a whole lot of detail though, but that's alright. He has this giant area in the back that really nothing is going on, so that's a little bit awkward, but other than that, a really nice model. So now let's examine Mike's tender. Mike's tender is really cool. I honestly feel like his tender is cooler than Mike itself, and that's because we have these blue lines going everywhere. We also have the wording Arlesdale, so you know that he works on the Arlesdale Railway or the small railway. This is alluded to a lot in my series, alluded to the fact that, he worked on the Arlesdale Railway. However, in my series, it's kind of implied that the Arlesdale Railway is a standard gauge line, and that's how he's able to come on the island of Sodor. I believe Mike has always had painted coal. Even though he was released in 1998, I've always believed that he's had painted coal. I may be wrong on that, and if I am, please correct me. But no name on the bottom, nothing like that. So we're all good. So Mike, I don't really know what to say because I feel like he's almost a I'm trying to think of the right word here. I don't think it's going to come to me, but he is a very interesting character, and I like Mike. And but other than that, just something about this model disappoints me. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the lack of detail. I feel like there's a lot of potential for Mattel to possibly redo this item and make it really cool, along with, release Rex and Bert and Jock. It'd be really cool to have all those Arlesdale engines and be able to create a railway out of it. But as of right now, it's just going to be Mike, it appears like, and Frank, of course. But I've already done a review on Frank. You know what? I feel like Mike, he's a good engine, he's a good model, but there's so much more that could have been added, and I guess that's just what kind of bothers me. I like his yellow dome. His yellow dome makes him stand out, so that's really cool. But other than that, there's just not a whole lot to say about Mike, honestly. He's a good model, but he's not the best. On an A to an F scale, I'd probably give this, I'd give it a B minus. Just because there's nothing that really stands out to me. I would have loved to have seen more of those blue stripes, because I feel like those blue stripes are really cool. Should you buy Mike? This is the interesting part. I probably won't say this about a lot of the items that I'll review, but I mean, you can totally have an awesome Thomas Wooden Railway line and not need Mike. So that's the thing. I'll leave this one up to you. Personally, I think it's cool to have Mike simply because he's a character from the 90s, but you don't need him either. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that, you know what, it's cool if you have him, it's cool if you don't, it doesn't really matter, it's up to you. The nice thing, though, is that you can find him on eBay pretty cheap. So if you're looking to find Mike, you won't have to spend a whole lot of money. One other thing I want to do before I end this review is just talk about how he was sold from 1998 to 2005. I find that really interesting because, Mike never appeared in the TV series. We see a lot of characters like the Flying Scotsman, Neil, Soda Railway Repair. They never do well. They're only in stores for a few years and then they're off the shelves. Mike seems to be the exception to that. Something about him must have been really appealing to kids. Maybe he's almost an alternative to James. I find that true for me because I remember I had Mike in my collection before I had James. And since I didn't have James, I would use Mike as James because I had no idea who Mike was as a child. I'm like, well, I don't see him in the episode, so I wonder who he is. So I specifically remember myself using Mike as James. So maybe that's why it was so popular, but I mean, 1998 to 2005 is quite a while to be in stores, especially considering that he never appeared in a TV series episode. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Why was Mike in stores for so long? Did, Learning Curve never have the guts to take him out of the stores for some reason, or was it something else or whatnot? But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So that's it for this Thomas Wooden Railway discussion on Mike. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please leave your comments below. Alright guys, thanks for watching this Thomas Wooden Railway discussion, and of course, more discussions to come.